Hey everyone, it's me, Hallease, endeavoring to persevere as always, back again with Tramelle Jones of TDJ Consulting. And this is the final video of this series. This time we are talking resumes, 3 things that you should be considering when crafting your resume.
All right, so FYI, resumes is like my favorite thing. I don't know anybody who's gonna get as excited about resumes as I do.
You really do.
So
She really does.
I really does. There's 3 things I want to talk about today, and the first is your resume should be pleasing to the eye. Like I tell people that it's always 50% content and 50% visual, and so it needs to be pretty. I should also be able to scan your resume without having to read it. And the way that you do that is you format like information in the same way so that your eye can go down and it knows exactly where to look for the same thing. All of your position titles should be formatted the same. Maybe they're bolded, maybe they're italicized, doesn't matter. It should just be the same. That way, as I'm scanning your document, I know that the next time I see something that is italics, it's a job title, because that's what you did before.
Right.
It should be the same. So everything should also be aligned the same way. So if you're gonna put dates in a column somewhere, it should be the same place. I literally am a stickler. I will take a ruler. So that's important. Stylizing and formatting your resume is really important to HR.
Yeah.
So do that.
And it doesn't, and when you say like it needs to be pleasing to the eye, this is very simple stuff. We're not talking about you need to have a graphic design degree or anything like that. It's just basic formatting, lining things up. Think about people like things that are linear.
Yes.
So think in those terms. You don't listen to her saying the word stylizing and automatically think, I am not a designer. That's not what she's saying.
All I'm really talking about using things as simple as bold, italicize, and underlining.
Yeah.
If you can use those three things as themes in your resume, you have killed the game and you're gonna be great. So the second one is do not overload with content. People get very emotionally connected to the words that they put into their resume and they end up with 16 pages and nobody's reading that.
Right.
So your resume should not be so complicated that it's like the Sunday New York Times crossword puzzle. Like there shouldn't be hidden meetings in there. Like I should know exactly what's happening.
Okay.
And for me, it's about quick, bite-sized pieces of information. So I don't want to, go so crazy that I explain and over-explain and then over-explain some more. I personally like to keep an explanation of a task to 1 line. If you're going over 1 line, you're probably talking about more than one thing and you need to go to another line and talk about that second topic.
Okay.
But I like to keep the explanation of tasks to 1 line. The third thing is this: focus on accomplishments.
Okay.
If you and your best friend had the same job every time you switched jobs and did the same thing, should you have the same resume?
Right.
No, you want to pull things that are specific to you. So that means that you should be adding things like the accomplishments section should be something like the ideas that you implemented, the projects that you led. I was the unofficial morale officer. I got our staff to do things after hours like have a bowling league, play kickball together. I was the morale officer and I have that on my resume because that's something that makes me specific to who I am.
Yeah.
That's what your resume should boast about. I already know, like let's say cashier. I know what a cashier does.
Right.
I don't need you to teach me that.
Right.
But how did you make being a cashier the most amazing thing ever? Now, if you're in a situation where you don't have a lot of accomplishments, that's okay. You fill that space with things like volunteer work, things you've been doing in your church, other organizations that you're really passionate about. That's how you set yourself apart from other people's resumes.
That's interesting. I want to come back to this idea of the length of your resume.
Yeah.
And well, here's something actually completely different aside.
Okay.
What is the difference? And this is coming from someone who is in a creative industry where resumes aren't really that used actually. It's more like a reel for someone like me. What is a resume versus a CV?
Ooh, that is such a good question. So CV stands for curriculum vitae. And what that means is you're going to get really specific about all of the curriculums, all of the times that you've presented, all of the times that you've been published. For you, it would be all of the times that you've worked on a project, and you want to give specifics for every single one. So maybe you were a producer for 10 video shorts that were turned into a documentary. You need to give all that information for every single one, right? That's a lot of information.
CV would be like 1,000 pages at this point.
It would. So the two things that are not supposed to be one-pagers are CVs, because they are going to be very lengthy, and a federal resume. A federal resume is going to be very specific. They have a very specific format that they want. They want additional information like the name of your supervisor. They're going to want the location. They're going to want to know how many hours of work you worked a week. They're going to want to know your pay, all on this resume. So I just did a federal, and Jesus, that was taxing, but I made it through and I'm still alive. But yeah, so federal resumes and CVs are going to be much more lengthy, and they're supposed to. So there is no rule on how many pages you do for those.
In the times when I was in more career, in a different, not career path, but in different jobs where a resume or a CV was something that like they wanted to see, I even find that I feel like employers don't use these two terms interchangeably. Because they're like, oh, upload your CV. And I'm like, I think what you want is a resume.
Everybody uses these interchangeably. And like, I've even had conversations with clients who are like, yeah, I'll send you my CV. I'm like, are you sending a CV or are you sending a resume?
Right.
I need to know.
Right.
And then I realize that they have no idea what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So they send me like a one-pager and I'm like, oh, okay. Whew.
You're sending me a resume.
This will be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that some people do, and you know, I think some people think that CV is just a fancier way of saying resume. Yeah. And so they'll use that to sound exciting. It's not. It's really something else.
Yeah. One other random question. How do you feel about templates that are like in Word and things like that?
Oh my God. So I could go on and on and on for days about this, but I'll keep it short and sweet.
Okay.
So I'm going to tell you the technical reason why those are frowned upon.
Okay.
And I'm going to really try and keep my personal reasons out.
Okay.
So when you are applying online and you upload your resume, your resume is then read by a computer program that will pull information from that resume and place it into the application, making it so that you don't have to type as much. There's a little known rule. That program can't read inside a box. A template on Word is nothing more than a box. So literally what you're doing is you're killing all the information. The program will not read it.
Wait. So is this why people sometimes get that message where it's like a meme going around where people will be like, I put in my resume, and then the next screen is like, put in all
type all your information.
Is that what that?
Yes.
You're welcome. Okay.
So let me explain to you this. I love the look and feel of templates. They're pretty. But for me, I hand format everything.
Yeah.
That is a little known fact. I really should tell my clients that more because I don't think that they know so much the value of that. I have hacked Microsoft Word so much so that I like go in the back end and clean out stuff so that when you upload, everything should go through. That there's also this word that's being thrown around, and it's called ATS, so it's application tracking systems. This is really what people are referring to. They're formatting your resume so that when you upload it, it all gets taken into account, right? So if you want to use a format on Microsoft Word because you are under the impression that you have absolutely no idea how to create a resume, I get it for looking at it and saying, oh, it's telling me that I need to say a date. It's telling me that I need to say the location at where I worked. It's telling me that I need to say this. Just look at it and say, okay, I'll compile all this information over here. And then you format it yourself.
Yeah.
Now, for some people, that's very hard. For some people, using Microsoft Word is like, they're at step like 1 or step 2.
Right.
Or I'm at step 9,025. Right? So that is really the purpose of hiring a resume writer. Not only to check your content to make sure that the way that you're describing tasks makes sense, but to make sure that your resume is usable in so many ways.
Yeah.
Now, here's the workaround.
Okay.
Let's say that you did use a template and it's so pretty that you are never going to stop, right?
Yeah.
I get it. Some people are tired of that. What you can do is create a text-only resume. And that is where you literally kill all the formatting and you have this very ugly document that nobody ever sees,
Okay.
but you upload it when you're doing your applications online. That should be able to get all of your information into the application so that you don't have to type again. And you can use a format. So if you use this template that is formatted in boxes, which most of the templates are, you can save that as a PDF and only use that when you are sending it to a person.
Right.
So I'm sending my resume in an email to a hiring manager. Hi, hiring manager, here's my resume for your review. Boom. That is when you would use a pretty template that's saved as a PDF. Otherwise, stay away from them templates, man.
I just got y'all's entire life situated. You're welcome. Okay, final thing.
Okay.
Word banks.
Yes.
Do you want to spill any tea on word? But we don't have to talk.
I mean, we can talk about word banks. I use a lot of word banks myself because sometimes it's 3 a.m. and I'm working on somebody's project and my mind is just not working.
Yeah.
But don't overdo it. Now, when we're talking about word banks, we're talking about using adjectives or adverbs for your resume. Things like, for me, I do like to start all of my lines with an action word.
Okay.
And so I have used some word banks to go back and make sure that happens.
Like one that's like,
when it's like managed, assessed,
critical
provided,
thinking, or
yeah. So you can use them, but sparingly.
Okay.
Really, in all honesty, you don't want to overdo it because people can see right through inauthentic things.
Yeah.
If you're starting to use all these fancy words and there's no real substance behind to show that you actually did things, then it's pointless and you have wasted that space.
Yeah.
So what I tell people is, first, create a resume that is as simple as possible. 9 times out of 10, you won't need another version. But if you get to this point where you're like, okay, I'm at level 2 and like I've got some more experiences and these are the buzzwords that we're using in the office. Okay, go ahead and add those. But 9 times out of 10 for my clients, it's not best for them to go and find a word bank and just start plugging things in because they probably will misuse the words. So I would frown. I would say no.
Just a frowny face on that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Is that helpful?
This has been so helpful. I don't even really much need a resume. That's again, for me in my profession, it's more of a reel. But
for people who are in service industries, I think of that as a resume. There's still some components that need to be added, right? And it's not so that I can insert myself and be like, ooh, hire me. But it's just about my whole purpose in life is to make sure everybody's marketing themselves the right way.
Right.
And so you want to add value. That 8.5 by 11, that is the space where I run the world, right? And I want to add as much value into it as possible. And so for you, your reel or wherever you post that is where you should be adding all of your value.
Respect.
So yeah.
This is such a great wrap to this series. All right, everyone. So that is a wrap to this series featuring Tramelle Jones of TDJ Consulting.
Yes.
Again, if you're interested in talking more with her or using her services, link to everything will be in the description box. I hope y'all appreciated this series of Trying to Be Somebody episodes featuring her. I really wanted to make sure that I'm starting to shift Trying to Be Somebody into not only showing people's careers and whatnot, but also just talking about tangible ways that you can achieve success wherever and however you define it, and whatever and however you are trying to be somebody. So, if you enjoyed the series, you want to see more, consider purchasing a shirt.
Ooh.
That's what helps fund this. And if you have any other tips and tricks that you think that we didn't have time to cover, please add them in the comments below.
I mean, I have lots. Maybe I'll go add some more.
Hey, there you go. I'm Hallease. This is Tramelle. We'll see you when we see you.